to so you guys know what this is, I'm using Fastballs 216. Alright? This helps with the crown chakra. I also listen to that while listening to the Bible and meditating on Jesus' words and watching how things are done through the Matrix. Alright, the Occultician 369 Divine Code. This is a live thing, so it's 24/7. Alright? So just so y'all know, and I'm gonna let y'all catch this rhythm with what I'm doing.
To teach them many things. By now, the hour had grown late, and his disciples came up to him and said,
"This place is isolated, and the hour is already late. Send them away, so that they may go off into the surrounding countryside and villages, and buy themselves something to eat."
He replied to them,
"You give them something to eat."
At this they said to him,
"Should we go off and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give it to the people to eat?"
He said to them,
"How many loaves do you have? Go see."
After finding out, they said,
5, besides 2 fish.
And he instructed all the people to recline in groups on the green grass. So they reclined in groups of 100 and of 50. Taking now the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and said a blessing. Then he broke the loaves up and began giving them to the disciples to place them before the people. And he divided up the 2 fish for all. So they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments, aside from the fish. Those who ate the loaves were 5,000 men. Then without delay, he made his disciples board the boat and go on ahead to the opposite shore toward Bethsaida, while he himself sent the crowd away. But after saying goodbye to them, he went to a mountain to pray. When evening had fallen, the boat was in the middle of the sea, but he was alone on the land. So when he saw them struggling to row, for the wind was against them, about the 4th watch of the night he came toward them, walking on the sea. But he was inclined to pass them by. On catching sight of him walking on the sea, they thought,
"It is an apparition!"
And they cried out, for they all saw him and were troubled. But immediately he spoke to them and said,
"Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid."
Then he got up into the boat with them, and the wind abated. At this they were utterly amazed, for they had not grasped the meaning of the loaves, but their hearts continued dull in understanding. When they got across to land, they came to Gennesaret and anchored the boat nearby. But as soon as they got out of the boat, people recognized him. They ran around all that region and started to bring on stretchers those who were ailing to where they heard he was. And wherever he would enter into villages or cities or the countryside, they would place the sick ones in the marketplaces, and they would plead with him that they might touch just the fringe of his outer garment. And all those who touched it were made well. Chapter 7. Now the Pharisees and some of the scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around him. And they saw some of his disciples eat their meal with defiled hands. That is,
so the importance of what I just was showing on the video or with Jesus' words goes into understanding what the Matrix did. What was the interpretation? And what happened? These things is actually what the numbers and what the loaves and the fish the loaves in the amount of people represent. It was on what did you have? What was in the now? What was right now? And with God, what happened? So if you look at it and see what happens right then, and pay attention to what was needed and what happened, these things show how stuff came about through the Matrix as an answer. This is observing all the things around you in union with God and yourself and what goes on in you. All right, you guys hold it down.